Lewis Art for the Ring magazine, always good to be joined with Mr. Fabio Wardley, even better on Fight Week, ahead of your fight at the O2 with Joseph Parker this Saturday. How's the Fight Week feeling? You know, it's days away now.
Yeah, it's good. Settling into it. First big media day of the lot, like first active Fight Week day for me. So yeah, it's good. Just settling into things.
Yeah. How do you deal with the big Fight Week media and the big Fight Week events? Because it's quite you're quite common to you now, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I've definitely been a part of a lot of big kind of fight weeks before, so it's nothing too new. Just enjoying the ride, enjoying it like the slow roll. Try not to do too much with it. Try not to exert myself too much. Just enjoy the fun and games.
Yeah. When you first started, like trying to think about the first big fight week, I guess you could have had. How did you deal with that compared to now? Like, is it easy to get carried away at the start, especially like looking at the Adelaide fight and everything that happened, like the events?
Yeah, look, when you're either chief support or high up on the card and there's a lot of attention on you for one reason or another, it's definitely easy to kind of get sucked into it and almost get distracted by it all. So you have to kind of learn to control yourself and just don't get me wrong, all this is fun and games. You got to remember there's a job to do on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and back at the O2 as well, someone that's quite familiar to yourself. It's becoming quite a bit of a home ground for you, I guess you could say, the O2.
Yeah, for me, home sweet home. I think I've fought there maybe 7-8 times, something like that. So I've had 20 fights, so almost half my career, which is a bit of a wild stat. So yeah, look, it feels normal, natural to me. I love it there. It's probably my favourite venue.
Yeah, I was reading your article today in the Daily Mail, I want to say the one with Don McRae. You're talking about the memories that you had from the Fraser Clark fight, which was your last fight there. I guess just touching on that and sort of when you are back in, you remember all their memories of how brutal that fight really was. Yeah,
look, I think at the time you don't really realise until you look back and go, actually, you know what, I was battered, bruised, cut, this, that, and the other, and all the things I'm compiling on top. So yeah, look, it took a bit out of me, that fight. And there was a bit of recovery for the weeks after and stuff, but I guess in a weird way I wouldn't change it because it gives you a huge amount of experience as well.
Mm-hmm. When you do go through that, and you see, I guess, the effects it has on your body, I'm sure when you sign up and when you have your career, you're well aware of what could happen. But is there ever like that shows, I guess, the true side of how brutal this game can be?
Yeah, look, it's a funny one as well because both those fights with Fraser were brutal for obviously two different reasons. Of how the first one went and how kind of beat up and bruised I was and that, and don't get me wrong, he exerted himself and he had a few bumps and bruises as well, and then you go on to the second one and it shows you the brutality of the sport in two different ways, I guess. Yeah. So to be so close to it does make it very stark and in your face, but yeah, it's something you kind of have to accept when you get into the game that this is how it could go, because if you go into there a bit shy and whatever else, it could end up worse for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like you can always say that you have something to prove, but do you think more than ever now you've got something to prove, more to prove, I guess, on Saturday night? Yeah,
I think it's changed. I think initially, I think it was to prove. I think the question was whether I was, I guess, not belonged. I don't really know the right word, but whether I was supposed to be here, whether I should be here, whether I was good enough to be here. And I think those questions have answered for me to be in professional boxing and me to be at a certain level and whichever else. I think those bits are ticked off. But now this new level I'm stepping up to, Joseph Parker, all those guys, Usyk, whichever else, that's a different level. So that's a different level I've got to prove myself at, and that's exactly what Saturday night's about.
So you never get this sense of almost imposter syndrome, because you look at guys like Parkers or even Clark who had the Olympic background, or you look at AJ who had the gold medal, and I could list off so many fighters and their backgrounds, and you'd be like, well, I've not got that, and I've not had that. Like you never feel like you have that imposter syndrome in a sense?
Yeah, I did. I definitely did early on. Early in my career, maybe for the first 10 fights or so, where I was questioning whether I should be here. The white collar tag, obviously, not that it's gone anywhere, it's still very much attached to me now, but back then it was at the front of everything, and it was this white collar fighter that's kind of popped out of nowhere, and there was some big questions to be answered. Now along the way since then, I've ticked off belts, big fights, all the kind of questions around me have been answered. It's now, okay, he is pretty good, he's at X level, wherever you want to put me, but is he at the top level? That's the area where there's still questions to be asked. So again, Saturday's about answering all that.
Enjoy having to answer that?
Yeah, look, it's fun because I've had it my whole career, so it's always been like, I think he's found his level. I think he's English level after I won the title. I think he's British level after I won the title. Okay, he's kind of European, international-ish level after I won WBAs, WBOs, Commonwealth, whichever else. So every time they kind of think they've found my peak, I do something else, and they're like, okay, but that's where he's really at. And then it's like, okay, no, now he's there. So, look, it's fun for me because I just keep proving people wrong.
Does that surprise you, though, when you keep reaching that new level?
In some ways, yes, but in other ways, no, because, look, you don't know until you know. But also, I've always had faith in my abilities, what I can do. I've always just felt like I need the opportunity, the way to show it in front of me, and I'll take it full advantage. I know what I can do. I know what I have. So... yes and no, all at the same time, I guess.
Okay, interesting. And we know what looms potentially with a win on Saturday night. From what Usyk's advisor Sergey Lapin said to Mike Coppinger yesterday about he's looking at Usyk is looking at the winner of this fight. I didn't realise you actually had history of Usyk. Sparring him a few years ago. I guess what was that experience like?
Yeah, look, it was crazy. I know Sergey well. I know Usyk well. I spent 8 odd weeks over in Ukraine, over 2 spaces, over 2 stints. And yeah, look, it was a wild experience for me because it was very early on in my career. I was maybe 3-4 fights in. And he asked me to go over there and obviously spar with him. And it was the first time I'd gone away for a sparring camp and things like that. So I was really kind of a bit surprised, I guess, that he even picked me in the first place. I was like, how does he even know who I am? Like, I'm this really obscure fighter, even like in the British scene. And then I've got Oleksandr Usyk asking me to go over there and train. But look, I jumped at the opportunity, and it was a great learning experience as well for a bunch of reasons, because to get to share the ring with someone like that and learn in the ring, but also outside as well, and how to do certain things, why he trains, when he trains, and all those other details as well.
Yeah, it'd be the ultimate story then, earning a shot on Saturday to fight him as well then.
Yeah, look, it'd be quite a crazy kind of full circle moment if we come around and fight for a world title.
Yeah, brilliant. Look, Fabio, appreciate you taking time to speak to me. Always good to catch up. And all the best on Saturday night.
Pleasure. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Mate.